Hi everyone, I'm Sue Smith and I am a licensed dietitian nutritionist at Align Modern Health, and welcome to my kitchen. So today I'm going to show you how you can easily preserve vegetables. Preserving vegetables is a great way to reduce food waste. It saves you money and saves you trips to the grocery store. And then you can have vegetables all year round, and you don't have to make excuses for not eating your vegetables like your mother told you to do. So vegetables need an additional step before you can freeze them. You cannot just put most vegetables on a baking sheet and just throw it in the freezer or in a baggie. Vegetables need to be blanched before you freeze them. Blanching is basically when you just immerse the vegetables in boiling water for a short amount of time, so just a couple of minutes. Then you take it out of the boiling water and then you put it in an ice water bath. That stops the cooking. Then the product after you freeze it will be nice and crisp. It will preserve its color, won't be mushy. So what I'm going to show you today is how to freeze vegetables. So I have chosen some nice green beans that I actually had a great sale at the grocery store. So I want to save some of these because I can't eat all of the green beans that I purchased. So I'm going to freeze them. So on the stove, I have a pot full of boiling water. So right now I'm just going to blanch them. So before I blanch them, make sure to wash all your vegetables, trim off any bad spots, and the green beans, I cut them in individuals, little portions, but you can leave them whole. And so right now, my green beans are washed, cut, I've trimmed off the ends, so I'm going to very carefully place them in the boiling water. You don't want to do it too fast to avoid splashing and getting some burns. So my green beans need about 3 minutes of blanching or sitting in the boiling water. You can add some salt to your water to give it a little bit of flavor. While I do that, I'm going to set my timer. Most vegetables can be frozen. There are a few exceptions like celery, cucumber, lettuce, although you can do other greens, hardier greens like spinach, kale, collards, any other more thicker greens, you can also freeze them. There are a couple vegetables that don't need to be blanched and can be frozen directly. Those are onions and bell peppers. Those you can just chop, slice, put them on a baking sheet or in a single layer in a freezer bag, and then you can put them directly into the freezer, and then you have frozen onions and peppers. While we're waiting for the blanching, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So you need a baking sheet like this, and you want to cover it because when you are done with blanching and then cooling off the vegetables in an ice water bath, you want to put them on the baking sheet in a single layer. I like to cover the baking sheet. You can use a piece of parchment paper if you have it. I really like using one of these silicone baking mats. That saves waste as well, so you're not throwing out the parchment paper. So I just line the baking sheet with my silicone baking mat. And then once we are done blanching and it's been in the ice water bath, we can just put the green beans in a single layer. We put it in the freezer, let it freeze up, and then you have some green beans to put in a bag. So I will be right back when we're done with the blanching. So my timer just went off and my green beans are blanched. So I'm going to turn off the heat. And I have a bowl with some ice and some water in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this strainer to strain out the green beans, place them in the ice bath so to stop the cooking process. So we wait until the green beans are nice and chilled, and then the end result will be some great crisp green beans to serve to you and your family. So for video purposes, I'm just going to pretend that the green beans are all nice and cool. So I'm going to then get my baking sheet. I'm going to strain out of my ice water my green beans. I'm going to place them in a single layer on the baking sheet. So I have them on the baking sheet. Excuse my dog, he's wanting a green bean. Place them in a single layer. It's important to put it in a single layer so then you can, if you have a big bag, you can take out what you need whenever you have them. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer and I'll see you back after they're frozen. Welcome back. So I have just taken out my frozen green beans out of the freezer and they are ready to go into my dated and labeled freezer bag. Now, I chose to put them in a single layer and freeze them because I want to just take them out as I go. If you know that you're going to eat everything in this bag at one sitting, you can skip the step of putting it on the baking sheet and freezing it in a single layer. You can just go directly from the ice bath and put the green beans in the freezer bag and then freeze. But I chose to freeze mine just so I can do the grab and go. Just put a few on my salad or just have a few for dinner. So I'm just going to collect my green beans. Make sure they all get in there. You see how bright and green they are? It's really a great way to freeze and preserve your vegetables. Before we close the bag, we want to make sure we get out all the air, or as much as possible, because as you know, frozen food does not like air. It tends to get the freezer burn and it ruins the taste and texture. So now my green beans are all set in the bag. I can place these back in the freezer and take them out as I need them. For instructions on how to freeze those vegetables in blanching times, go to our website at AlionModernHealth.com, and I hope you enjoyed the video on how to save money, time by freezing your vegetables.